Greetings. So here we are. It's Wednesday. No, it's not. It's Thursday, actually. It's Thursday, November 18. So the topic of this live stream is just talking about the prices of some of these modern collectibles and how it really has priced the average collector out of things, because some of the prices are absolutely ridiculous. But before we get to any of that, we'll do our little roundup of the chat. So first of all, we have a question actually from Brian, who asks, how to get toys graded? And Bobby has answered that by saying you have to ship them to someone claiming to be an expert, who puts them in clear plastic cases and arbitrarily assigns a value far lower than what they charge you to grade them. Yeah, grading is just nonsense. It's not worth the hassle, in my opinion. And besides, who wants to keep their toys encased in plastic? The next comment comes from me, actually. It's asking the question, what are the most expensive items you've added to your collection? And do you have any regrets? So Kickback is here. He says it's only worth what you paid for it. True. Richie Woods, women collect too. It's not a man's game. Yeah, it was a figure of speech. Did I say man? Yes, I said rich man's. Yeah, it was a figure of speech. I wasn't trying to exclude anyone. Scuba Pete is here. Good to see you. Monkey Boy Cloth Chat is here. Kieran is here. Connor is here. Gojitron is here, asking, are the usuals here? It sure does look that way. We've got John is here. Rich is here. Good to see you, Rich. Hula Lupa. Good to see you as well. MDR, Evening Squire. And Chackaman's Star Wars Customs. Good to see you. And John again. Hey, Dean. The only one Kenobi. But having just reviewed Stan Solo's latest Force Ghost Obi-Wan Kenobi in the classic vintage style, we can now say there are only two Kenobis. And Luke is here. Good to see you, Luke. And great topic. Okay, thanks. Hopefully it turns out that way. I'm sure as most of my streams go, we'll end up talking about TV from the 80s and what was the best chocolate bar, but it's all good. Alex from Mexico, good to see you. Yeah, the figures are even more expensive there. Yeah. And Jeff, good to see you, Jeff. Yeah, you finally got to catch a live one. Glad you're here. Kept in a plastic box. Might get Mrs. graded. We've got Cal E148 saying hello to everyone. Tim Bainbridge is here. Good to see you. Keith Chaos, hello there. Stephen S, howdy. I guess my most expensive action figures are Marvel Legends. Okay. I'm going to try my best to get caught up with this, and I'm going to give a quick sort of background as to where I'm coming from on this. Bearded Geek Toy Reviews, good to see you. Perfect timing. So actually, Jason, I'm going to read this out. Hi, I thought I'd drop and say hello at a music quiz, which Dean would be a lot better at than me. Jason, I've received a box just before going live from you, so thank you for that. It does say box 2 of 2. So I'm assuming from reading your messages, you sent box 1 the day before box 2. Don't worry, the postal service over here doesn't work that efficiently, so I'm pretty sure that box 1 will be on its way. But again, not opened it yet. I'm going to do a video, but thank you so much for sending that. You're unbelievably kind. I have several Black Series figures that have cost me some serious pounds. Yeah. Hey, Luke, glad to see you're safe and well. Yep. My Lone Ranger Tex Dawson action figure is the most expensive single item in my collection. Tex Dawson, that's not one I'm familiar with. I did have the Lone Ranger as a boy, and I get confused with which ones we got in the UK. Was it Gabriel or Marks? I don't remember, but I did have the Lone Ranger. Loved that figure. So Jason says, I got some Black Series figures, would like some more of the older ones, but will not pay silly money. Yeah, that's the problem. We some of the prices being asked for things are quite ridiculous. And in fact, if you caught my video from yesterday, that's what kind of spurred me to think about this, where there is someone who's trying to sell a VHS tape of The Empire Strikes Back for $275,000. So, you know, I thought I'd caught leprosy from the hotel, but I think I'm okay. Gojitron says, most expensive item in my collection is a $350 modern version of a jumbo Machinder Grenzer. I can't read today. My eyes are not working well today. Basically like an old Shogun warrior. No regrets. That's good to hear there are no regrets. It's only worth what you paid for it. A famous response from Steve Sansweet when asked by someone at a convention what his toy was worth. Yeah, it's a good answer. Jonathan Redmond says hello to me and the chat. Ben says evening all. George Aiken is here. Good to see you, George. As he says, actually, it's Kal-El and then 48, as in Superman's Kryptonian name. Just okay. Thank you for setting me straight. John says, no, my most expensive action figures are my vintage Starsky and Hutch Mego figures. I forgot. Oh, those are pretty cool. And Luke says his mail-away original 12 display stand is the most expensive piece of my collection. Wow. Jason says, got my phone on silent. Listen, of course, do what you have to do. This is not a priority. And Dave from Vintage Toy Rush is here. And he says it depends on what you're collecting. I was going to focus more on the modern side of things, because that's where the prices are absolutely ridiculous. But I'm open to comments as to what is the most expensive piece, period. So Scuba says, Marks was UK, wasn't it? Gabriel US. That's where I'm not familiar. It was one of the two, obviously, I had. Marks, probably. That's one thing I'd like to get back in my collection, would be my Lone Ranger. The Visionary's Dagger Assault is my most expensive item. Knights of Old. I had to shift collecting to different lines and genres that offer the same hunt and satisfaction. Yeah. Excuse me, it is all about the hunt, really. Because once you acquire something, it's kind of like an anticlimax, or that's what I find anyway. So here in Mexico, we the collectors fight against two annoying things: high prices and bad distribution. That sounds very much like America. Jonathan says, high prices on older modern figures are one thing, but when you have to pay 3 or 4 times the prices for a figure that's just come out, something is very wrong. Indeed it is. Very, very wrong. On that point, I think I did not too badly in catching up with Masters of the Universe Origins. I was very slow to get into it. But fortunately, I only paid over retail for, I'm just going to say 3, maybe 4 figures, which wasn't too bad. And by all accounts, the first 4 waves, I believe, are no longer in production. So if you are only now getting into Masters of the Universe Origins, you will be paying scalper prices, which is pretty unfortunate. Monkey Boy says, unfortunately, I have paid silly money for several of my figures. I get the fear of missing out, and I just can't help myself. Oh, absolutely. I understand that sentiment entirely. I have also had that, and as a result, I have I haven't paid ridiculous scalper prices in a long, long time, and trying not to. Tree Theodore is here. Good to see you. Keith says, I collect a lot of Super 7 and bootleg art toy pieces, so it's pretty pricey. Yeah, I'm not at all familiar with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I did see that the new van they're doing, Super 7 that is, it's like $500 or something. 1980s and Star Wars guy, good to see you. And George says, most expensive for me is the Robo Skull, followed by the Z-Force Command Center with the exclusive figures. Yeah. I think the time to put the order in is past, but I didn't go for the new Robo Skull. Number of reasons, one of which was I don't know where I'm going to be when the damn thing's released. And second of all, by all accounts, the figures they're doing are 4-inch figures, which will look silly next to the vintage 3 3/4, so I just passed. Playmates Star Trek figures, yeah, and that's a great line, actually. I've got a lot of those stashed away in bins somewhere. Ben Ray, hello. Hello. Connor says, personally, I hold no monetary value on my stuff. I treasure the ones that I grew up with. And the most treasured figure is a worthless Bespin Luke. Yes, sometimes sentimental value trumps monetary value, for sure. One day, modern collectibles might be as valuable as vintage ones. Here's to hoping. I don't think so, because the fact is, the reason that the vintage ones are so valuable is because, for the most part, people just enjoyed them as they were intended, which is toys. Back in the day, no one thought about how much they're going to be worth, whereas since, the 90s onwards, people bought toys, or bought 2 of each, with a view to keeping them sealed in boxes that they would increase in value, and I don't think that's really been the case. Luke does not regret his vintage 12 stand, as I chased it for almost 10 years. However, vintage Star Wars is my primary collecting line, and it's a long time since I bought anything due to crazy prices now. Yep, absolutely. That's why I am both happy and sad that I'm done collecting the figures for the vintage Star Wars. Sad that the hunt is over, but happy that I'm no longer fretting over these ridiculous prices. And yes, 90s Star Wars figures are still quite cheap. Yep. Knights of Altars, I'll only pay up for truly rare toys that are not always available on eBay. Yeah. And Samantha says, yes, a local shop had them for $5 each all day long. Yep. Alex says, on Motu Origins, I paid 3 times the original price for Stratos, Triclops, and Zodak for each one. I forget what my most expensive was. I think it might have been Orko, which I think I paid close to $30 for. Aside from that, and 1 or 2 others, which I don't remember offhand. Obviously, Trapjaw was one. I forget how much, but for the most part, I got them at or as close to retail, which was good. I'm trying not to pay current stupid prices for the final 9 last 17 I need. Yeah, good luck. I think that's a massive mistake that most of us made when recollecting vintage Star Wars, was that we left the last 17 till the end, and for the most part those are the most expensive figures, and in my case I ended things on a slightly dull note with my last figure being Romba. Would it be nice to have ended on something like, I don't know, Luke Skywalker Stormtrooper or something? Compared to collecting watches or cars, toys are relatively cheap, so wealthy individuals looking to invest will see even more expensive toys as pocket money. Yeah, very true. So the Tex Dawson and El Lobo were exclusive European Lone Ranger figures released by Marks, which explains why I'm not familiar with them. Rocketing prices are why I'm enjoying Mask and Motu collecting, as they are readily available at much cheaper prices. Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing I've enjoyed about collecting Mask again, was that it didn't break the bank to go out and get all the vehicles and figures that I needed for waves 1 and 2, plus a handful of wave 3. Plus, many of them were boxed, far more boxed examples available compared to Star Wars. And of course, we had the wonderful Chilean warehouse find that really did help us a lot. Anyone remember the episode of the TV show The Toy Hunter from about 2012-13, in which some clown paid $19,500 for a loose, unpainted prototype rocket-firing Kenner Boba Fett? No, I've not seen that. Jesse Hughes is here. Good afternoon, folks. Yep. The higher prices go on modern toys, the less that people can afford to collect. Not a great long-term business strategy. If collectors can afford the entire line, can't afford the entire line, many will just quit. Yeah. That was what Mattel had going in their favor, was that the Motu Origins are very reasonably priced, actually. When you can just consider the sheer volume of plastic involved for each figure, vehicle, and playset, they are very well priced, actually. Sadly, Mattel didn't quite come through on their promise that everything would be readily available. But if, like me, you are caught up, each time something's announced, just bang in that pre-order and you get what you want for retail. Isn't it about time Hasbro ditched the 3.75 figgies and just concentrated on Black Series 6-inch? I prefer the detail on 6-inch. No, not at all. People like the two different scales. Obviously, for me, 3 3/4 inch, but as I don't collect modern, that's a moot point. But if anything, I'd rather they did more retro collection than anything else, but obviously that's probably not going to happen. If it was down to me, I would have Hasbro redo the entire original Kenner line, including vehicles and playsets, and I think that would sell like hotcakes, but what do I know? Who's got into the habit of scrolling through eBay whilst watching TV with your wife? Well, actually, now you mention that, I have stayed true to my word for the past few weeks. I have not looked at eBay. Aside from my selling portal, I have not looked at anything for sale. And it's quite refreshing to not be spending too much money. Scott. Good to see you, Scott. And Scuba, I guess, is scrolling through eBay every damn night. Jim, just wondering if Star Wars vintage prices will bottom out when the original fans pass on. Hello, Dean. Great topic. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, I think so. I think once our generation are long gone, there are still young people who collect. I know two offhand. There's 1980 Star Wars guy who's watching here, and Jack from Django Unchained, who I think is 21, 20 years old. He likes his vintage. So there are still people carrying the torch, but not to the same extent. So I think once us old guys are gone, we're going to see a lot landing on the used market for cheap prices, because once we're dead, our families may not know what they are and just say, Star Wars toys for sale. Here's 100 figures for $50. Something like that, perhaps. Andrew says, spent far too much on figures this year. Feeling the item on eBay will be the last ever seen. Yeah, I've had a couple of examples this year where I've seen something I've always wanted and thought that it's like now or never, and just hit by it now without really giving it too much thought. Brian hello from Liverpool. Good to see you. Andrew says, I screwed myself on Mask as needed to acquire with mint in box, which meant frequently purchasing from the US, spending 100 quid on imports. Forces myself to stop. Yeah, and you see, this is a big issue I have because all my childhood memories are from the 80s in the UK. A lot of what I want to own again is only available in the UK. And whilst the prices for the items themselves are not too bad, the shipping costs just make it not worth doing. For example, I was looking at an old one comic from the UK. The comic itself, I think, was like $3, and the shipping was going to be $24 or something. I'm like, nope, can't do that. So For the Love of Zuckus says, I finished my loose collection just before The Force Awakens was announced. They rocketed after that with all the new collectors. Yup. That would have been a good time to have done it because, as you say, once the interest came back to Star Wars, the figures just shot up again. Jim says, I can live without rare Star Wars figures like Yak Face. Ewok's crazy prices are a good line in the sand for the same collector. Yeah. Past weekend, I buy in a lower price offer the McFarlane figures of Batman and Robin 66 here in Mexico are a lot of this figure. Yeah, I'm still looking for the Unmasked Robin, but people are charging like upwards of $70-80, and that's not going to happen. Dave says, Mask is relatively cheap, except for that one damn Lambo, which I'd really like to add. Yeah, I know exactly the one you're meaning. Yep. Soda Cauldron. My most expensive loose figure was a mint biker scout with weapon for £100. The boxed vehicles were crazy prices, but are settling down now. Yeah. So, well, $3,000 is the most I've ever spent. 1970s Japanese Sofubi, which I have no idea what that is, but $3,000 is a lot of money. So Keith says, luckily I'm not a completist. If I see as cool modern lines such as the new Action Force, I'm totally fine with getting one or two figs from a line and be done. Wow, you're lucky, because I have that need to get everything if I do get into something, which is what's happened with Masters of the Universe. As you may recall, it all happened back in April of this year when my wife and I took a walk out to this brand new Target store, which was the first time I'd been to Target in almost 2 years at that point, and picked up the He-Man, Skeletor, and Panther and Battle Cat. And I kept them boxed, didn't open them, thinking if I don't want to collect this line, I can just sell these. And that was the case for a good couple of months. And then I got an email from Target saying we have the Rise of Evil 2-pack available to be shipped. And I thought, what the hell? So I got a few of those, which I kept one for myself, gave a few away. And then I thought, you know what? Count me in. So I said, I'm going to collect the basic line of figures. And I said, I don't need any of the variants. I don't need additional He-Men or Skeletors. I just need one of each. And then the completist in me kicked in and says, you know what? You need them all. And as it stands, I have everything that's been released to the general public, with the exception of the flocked Panther. And I'm happy to have this wonderful collection, but sadly, because I don't have space to display it, everything is currently, for the most part, unopened in a big, massive box. But yeah, I got suckered in. I am a completist, I'm afraid. The Defiant, good to see you. I got in debt on a credit card buying up the Star Wars Vintage Last 17 that I never owned end of last year. Many in graded cases, all paid now, and prices since then have rocketed further. Yeah, I am like I said earlier, I'm happy and sad that I have all the Star Wars figures. Sad because the chase is over, but happy that I'm not going to be worried about these prices that just keep rising and rising. And some of the prices for these last 17 Ewoks are obscene. In the UK, toy stores are all sold out of Motu, and we are forced to hunt for them on eBay. Strangely, some figures are relatively cheap, whilst others can command very high prices. Yep, I think that's what it is the world over. Of course, I've been back at that Target a couple of times in the past few weeks, and they still have the stupid-looking headed He-Man and Skeletor on the pegs, and a ton of the Rise of Evil 2-pack, which was a big thing when they first came out, because those were selling for like $100 on eBay, but now you get them for $30. And even my Target here had about 6 of them on the shelf. George says, I find the best way to collect is to be patient. Item prices go up or down. But that's the thing, though. As happened with the Masters of the Universe Origins, if people were being patient, the problem is they've stopped producing the first 4 waves. And people who pre-ordered them on sites like Entertainment Earth and Big Bad Toy Store have had those pre-orders cancelled because those outlets in good faith thought they were getting more in, but there are no more. So in some cases, it's like you have to move when they're available. Otherwise, you may miss out forever unless you're prepared to fork out ridiculous prices. Jim Lorgo, good to see you. So I've got 40 plus Star Wars vintage collection figures on pre-order at the moment with Hasbro relentlessly releasing more. It is becoming more of a strain financially to keep up, to be honest. Yeah, I could imagine that. That's why I am very happy to not be involved much in the way of modern collecting, because I couldn't keep up with the rate at which they're releasing stuff. I'd love to see Mask come back as a true 3.75-inch scale for both action figures with similar points of articulation as vintage O-ring G.I. Joes, as well as the accompanying vehicle. I just love to see it come back, period. Initially I've said I want it to be the same scale as it was, but at this point, just anything Mask would be wonderful to me. So Keith Chaos, his son is 7, and I'm passing on my collecting tendencies to him for sure. He loves the Marvel, Legends, and Black series, but I hold on to the accessories because he's 7. Yeah, that's a very good point. Not that I'm in a hurry to pass on. Hope Heaven has plenty vintage in stock. Yeah. Yes, he's talking about Stiletto. And yeah, Laser Command seems to be by far the most expensive. Yep. I don't even know where Laser Command fits into things, because it seems that it was not part of the 3 waves. Or was it 4 waves? Yeah, 4 waves of vehicles. And it seems that Laser Command just appeared out of nowhere, but maybe someone can correct me on that. Paul makes a good point. It seems many of us have spent too much this year on figures, and he blames COVID. Yeah, I think people being stuck at home, well, not so much this year, it was like last year. Stuck at home, going online and maybe seeing YouTube videos of people like me talking about old toys, and it got people feeling nostalgic again. So Jim says, because he's an expat, I have to do my toy hunting online. Nostalgia tax is high for me, plus shipping. I have to be choosy. Yeah, I can imagine. Scuba says, I ran across like 6 of them in a shop a month ago. It would cost me about $2,500. I backed away slowly with tears in my eyes. Soda says, patience is the key. Bagged a loose Bespin hand straight from a detached bubble for £45. That's pretty good. And Dave says, yep, is it Stiletto? Is not Stiletto. Was it? Anyway, Gloria Baker's Lambo. What's this? Here are in a lot of the Unmasked Robin. Wow. And I'm really annoyed how that was handled by McFarlane. The fact that they made the Unmasked Robin and the Masked Joker these chase figures. Fortunately, my orders from Australia included the chase variant of the Joker just as part of my order, which was nice. But sadly, I'm still looking for that damned Robin. Keith has $300 life-size Grogu by Sideshow. That's probably the most expensive in my collection. It's also my only Sideshow. Wow. But life-size, that's reasonable value for money, I would say. Why is toy purchasing so addictive? Is it simply a source of escape? Yeah, I think it is. I think it's a great source of escape. I love it. But yes, it is very expensive. So Scuba is asking Alex, do you see a lot of the knockoff blow mold motif for sale? Those are always very expensive in the States. Best vintage find was a near mint hammerhead for 25 cents. Sally Ann yard sale. Lucky finds, yeah, lucky finds are out there. Not something you find every day, unfortunately. Interesting. Good on you, Luke. Samantha says, I saw Star Wars micro collection Hoth sets for 1,000 at a flea market about a couple of years ago. It hurt having to pass up a Holy Grail toy. Yeah, I've had a few close encounters, but you have to be sensible sometimes and just not give in. So Rich, I sold the majority of the vintage Star Wars stuff I bought at the beginning of this year because I just couldn't justify the amount of money sitting there on the shelf. No regrets, kept a few. As long as you have no regrets, that's the main thing. And Tree Theodore says, Eisner Disney was not happy after losing a bid on a brass train at Sotheby's. I suppose it's our shelf queen. The most expensive toy in my collection is a Lego space classic ship called Cosmic Fleet Voyager from 1986. Almost $200 a year before the pandemic. Yeah. Now, here's the thing about classic space Lego. I could entertain myself for days and make tons of videos on classic space Lego that I have. I think I've said this before, but I have all my childhood Lego still with me. It's just a case of sorting through everything, giving it all a good clean. But it's something I'm going to try to get to. When, I don't know, but it's on the back burner. But that's something that I'm very much looking forward to because I love my space Lego. I've been trying to collect the old Galoob A-Team mint on card. So far, Hannibal has made it over here from California. Worried when I buy BA, he won't get on the plane. Some of the first ever All Things 80s videos were me and taking brand new Galoob A-Teams off the card and looking at them. Wonderful experience that. Although the Murdoch, I could not get Murdoch on the card. I had to get a used. That wasn't me doing anything. That's the damn camera turning itself off. I don't know what to do about this because the camera is only just over 7 years old, and that's the second time now in a live stream it's just turned itself off and gone back on again. So I may need to look into replacing it. But I do like using a traditional video camera as opposed to webcams and things. Plus, for making my videos, I'm so used to how this camera works. Maybe I'll just get a more modern one of these. It's like Canon, was it HFG30 or something? Vixia. They still make them, and I think they have 4K models now. But that's so annoying it does that. Anyway, Um, so for the love of Zuckus, I enjoyed the chase, but for me, it was just owning them all and having a proper display case for them. I'm happy now. Yeah, that's one thing about me. Like all mine are in a box, just waiting to get moved, and then have a dedicated cabinet for my Star Wars figures. No joke. A good friend of mine's older brother designed that whole Hoth micro set. I loved it before I learned that. Now it's even cooler. Yeah. So Monkey Boy says, I have nobody to leave my collection to. So when I kick the bucket, some charity shop is going to be well chuffed. Unfortunately, they will have no idea how much the items are worth. Yeah, that's true. And you know what? I can sympathize to an extent with the anti-repro mob who have a valid point that when I move on, I have repro, and it will get mixed up with the original stuff, but at the end of the day, they're just bits of plastic. But I can see their point. Good point here. Maybe have a museum to leave them to. That's a good point. What's this? Orange's Rise of Evil 2-packs are still difficult to find in the UK and sell for $80. Wow. Yeah, they are, like I said, sitting on the shelves in Target for $30. Thank you, Connor. And Andrew spent £80 on the Rise of Evil 6 months ago. What an idiot. Thought it would be the whole... No, you weren't to know. And that's exactly why I think this is one of the few examples of something coming back in stock. Because I forget when it was like springtime, I guess. They were exclusive to Target. They sold out immediately. And boom, eBay for $80, $100. And then a month or two later, they appeared back in stock. No one was to know they were going to come back in stock. So, and Scuba's asking if Kieran needs one. Would love the 12-inch box Jawa, but patience is being rewarded on that one. Just keeps going up and up. Yeah. So, just so glad I bought the whole vintage range as a child and kept them, over 300. No way could I buy them now. Now on EP1 range, which is very reasonable. Most paid was £25 pounds. Yeah. I still kick myself because I brought my entire childhood collection with me to America. And I had it here in America for what? Two years? And sold the lot back in, I think it was 2005. I sold the lot. And yeah, one of life's biggest regrets. Anyway, Max Video Entertainment. On top of my wage, I get paid commissions to get a prepaid credit card. You can use it like cash and only use it in certain stores. So I spend it all on eBay for vintage toys. It's capped at $3,000 a year. Yeah, it's good to have a limit in place. That's something that I've tried to adhere to, but one or two times I've gone beyond that limit. So Laser Command was the last produced, not part of a series, massively overpriced, a crate and a truck. Silly, really. Right, yeah. By far one of the most expensive mask things I've seen. Hasbro should produce the last 17 retro line. Vintage fans would be well pleased. I wonder about the Hasbro business. Yeah, absolutely. I keep saying this, release the entire damn vintage line. Everyone's going to love it. Well, maybe not the vintage dealers, but who cares about them? Keith, good to see you. No need to apologize. So I used to buy reaction figures, but when the price went to near $20, I got out. Yeah, that's the thing that I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get caught up so I can talk about the whole thing with the current pricing. yes, prices are going up and up and up, and I don't know how kids today can enjoy collecting, if they even do, because there's no way pocket money could allow them to uh, to buy some of this new stuff. And Scuba echoes what I'm saying about the Rise of Evil line. His Target has 6 of them. Yeah. I can't stop buying action figures. I ran out of space a year ago and still it continues. Somebody shoot me. I must be stopped. Talking about having no space, I have in excess of 12 or 13 storage bins crammed with my collections. I have some on display, as you've probably seen in other previous live streams, but for the most part, 98% of my collection is stored away, and it's a bit frustrating, but anyway. Split seconds masks sucks, so at least don't have to have the temptation to collect those. Yeah, that's one thing that I've not gotten into yet. I don't think I will. I'm trying not to, although the is it the Stiletto that's Gloria Baker's Lambo? I think it is Stiletto. That's the one I would like, just to get a Gloria Baker figure. What annoys me is the poor distribution that then means you have to try eBay. That's what makes modern collecting expensive. Well, there is that. There's also the ridiculous prices that I'm going to try and get to. I'm going to try my best to get caught up here as quickly as possible. I just hate all the Target exclusives. I really wanted those Prototype Trooper and Boba Fett. I got the Vader, but paid too much on the secondary market. Not doing that again. Yeah, the whole exclusive thing is another absolute nonsense. And are they trying to justify it by saying that if Target or Walmart or Amazon didn't pony up to get the exclusive contract, those figures wouldn't be made? I don't get that line of thinking, because surely to God, anything Star Wars sells, so there's no reason to make them exclusive. With today's prices, I'm thinking sticking only to vintage toys. Besides, I collect for nostalgic reasons, not for investment. Yep, you and me both. Would love to have been a fly on the wall when that clown who paid 19.5 grand for that Fett figure has to explain why there is missing 19.5 grand from the bank account to his wife. Yeah. Network, network, network. This is the key. No matter what you are chasing, there's always someone who has what you need and you have what they need. This has been the key to my success. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I don't actively participate, but I am a member of a couple of Facebook groups. And yes, the prices there are definitely way, way better than anything you see on eBay. So bought a Return of the Jedi laser pistol, restored it with help from Toy Polloi, of course, and now in a replicator box for 110 all in. Looks and sounds class. Original went at Sotheby's for 1,100. Wow. So still need around 12 of the last 17 Star Wars figures to complete my Kenner collection. Thank heavens for Stan Solo, so I don't have to pay pounds and pounds and pounds for small pieces of plastic. Exactly. And the best part is, for very little money, you're getting a brand new version of those figures, as opposed to spending hundreds for beaten up versions of those figures. So to me, Stan Solo is the way to go. I thought Dean just said hot sex, but it was Hoth set. Haha, Samantha. Yeah. I'd pay top dollar for hot sex, but who wouldn't? Alex says, the Joker masked. I don't see that figure here, only the unmasked Batman and Robin. So that figures are the difficult ones to find from. And the funny thing is, in America, the unmasked Batman was offered on Target as an exclusive back in, I'm going to say July, and I pre-ordered. Since then, I've had at least 5 emails from Target asking me to confirm my pre-order, because the release date keeps getting shifted back. So who knows when they're coming out up here. but it's rather annoying. But it is funny that I am now facing the same hurdles that most modern collectors face, with pre-orders getting cancelled or being asked to confirm delays. Anyway, best buy ever was a Palitoy Death Star for £1.25 at a school toy auction in 1985. Yep, that wins. You have won today's prize for the best deal. That is fantastic. That masked vehicle pilot. Well, yes. In seasons 1 and 2 of the cartoon, she did indeed pilot the shark, but the shark was never released as a toy. And the only way that Gloria Baker got her action figure was in the Lambo, which I think is called Stiletto. But yeah, you're correct that she did pilot the shark, but that was never released as a toy. And I have to do a quick jump. Hang on. So we're at 3:33. Anyway. Oh my God, there's so many comments. But this one, Tree Theodore, thank you so much. Again, you are incredibly generous. He says, thanks for all you're doing in the community, 88. Share and promote. Well, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. And trying to find where I was again. My God, at this rate, I'm never going to get to talk about what I had initially brought up. And Samantha says, sweet space Lego was my jam as a kid for a while there. Oh, yeah. I still maintain that classic space Lego is probably in my top 3 best toys ever. So this is what I was alluding to. So the Turtles Party Wagon for $500 continues a ridiculous price tradition for vehicles. Yeah. Okay, and I'm going to apologize if I'm skipping anyone here. I want to try and get caught up so that I can talk about what I was alluding to in the thumbnail of this video. So Soda Cauldron saw your 18 vid, very jealous, loved them as a kid, even had Murdoch's gyrocopter. There was a decent sized van for them though, had great crack with the smaller Ertl remote control one, nice. And I'm going to jump ahead, 337, and we have a very generous super chat from Anthony. Thank you so much, Anthony, just for being awesome. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Mark Telford is here. Good to see you, Mark. Yeah, been waiting for the Jedi line in the retro collection, but they are really milking the Mandalorian train. Yes, they are, and it's very frustrating. And I've said this many times, they could have done a crossover because there were so many classic Star Wars first 3 movie characters involved in Mandalorian. They could have used the Mandalorian card and given us a Luke Skywalker Jedi, R2-D2, Tusken Raiders, Jawas, whatever. But yeah, instead we get what this new wave is, another Mandalorian, and what I forget now. I have it pre-ordered, and that's not coming till what, July or something. What's this? The prices went up because of all the YouTubers. Do the math. Over the last 5 years, prices went up on all toy collections. Yeah, possibly because people are seeing things they haven't thought about in decades, and they thought, oh, I used to have that. Maybe I'll get another one. I spent £300 on a vintage collection Slave Leia this week. Wow. That's rather a lot for a modern figure. I'm going to jump ahead again. Where are we at? 342. Oba Hicks, thank you so much. Very kind of you. Sodine, how many Super 7 Turtle Vans will you be buying? 500 quid is mental money. I'll be buying this many. Fortunately, I have no connection to the Turtles. When they first came out in the UK, I think I was well past playing with toys. So I have no desire whatsoever to get anything to do with Turtles. So Jim asks a good question. What's the most you spent on a vintage item? A vintage item. Ooh, that's a very good question. Actually, if I could check, because it's been quite recent that I did make a couple of slightly excessive purchases for vintage. Let me see if I can call this up. I'm thinking, which I've not shown on YouTube yet because there was a slight issue when doing the unboxing video, but I did get a Kenner $6 million man back in October 14, and that was $275. That one could be. In fact, can I refine my... No, I can't. I was going to see if I could show the listings prices high to low. So that was one. Obviously, the most I've ever spent were my Batman and Robin Hot Toys, but those aren't vintage. It looks like that $6 million man would be. Just bear with me. I'll try and see if that is the case. Well, hang on, was the question for my collection or not? Because I spent quite a bit bringing in a case of brand new masks from the Chilean warehouse, but those were for me to resell, although I did keep half for myself. Actually, yeah, I think the $6 million man would count as the most expensive. Although I'm just trying to see the Megatron I got, which, whilst it wasn't a 1980s G1, it was the Tomy Takara Megatron. Oh, actually, we've got a new one for this list. It's the Spider Buggy from Corgi. That was actually $300. Damn, I didn't realize I spent that much. So Corgi's Spider Buggy is in the lead. $255 for Megatron, but it was brand new and it's an exact replica of the G1. And I'm thinking we're probably at the end of this year's purchases. So Corgi Spider Buggy looks to be the one that I spent the most on, but worth every penny because that is an absolute favorite of mine. Loved it back then and absolutely love having it now. So that's the answer to that. What's this question? Have you got any lines you want to start collecting that has fallen below on your priority up to now? Well, obviously the whole Star Wars thing, to get that finished was indeed a priority. As I said a few weeks back, I've had to stop looking at eBay for the time being, but maybe down the line I would like to look at Action Force. But I am lucky in that I can limit myself to a line that I enjoyed as a kid. So, for example, with Action Force, I stopped playing with Action Force by the time they had morphed into G.I. Joe. So I only need the 5-point of articulation figures. So I wouldn't be all in on Action Force, just the ones that I enjoyed. So that's a line that I would like to look at. And Scott Hughes says he likes to try to support the Dollar Tree Final Faction figures and the Dollar General USMC figures as much as possible. If they're successful, maybe the trend will hold. $1 5-point articulation figures that are really cool. Yeah, I love the fact that there are still good quality figures available for $1, and the fact that they've been able to give us some of these classic lines like Motu and G.I. Joe. Right, so hang on. Gloria Baker's car is the shark. Stiletto is the mask worn by Sly Rax, the rider of the Piranha vehicle. Yeah, absolutely, that's right. Stiletto on, and it would fire out little daggers. Gloria Baker, yes, she piloted the shark in the cartoon, but in the split seconds wave of vehicles, Gloria Baker had a Lambo, and I need to get the name of that. Shit. Just bear with me. So I go to split seconds. Yeah, Stiletto. That was the name of the Lambo. So her vehicle was in the split seconds wave was called the Stiletto, and it was a white Lamborghini, and it came with Gloria Baker with her new Collider mask, and that was the only time Gloria Baker was released as a figure. Can't really. I'll try and show you here if that's coming across. Mask, Stiletto, the white Lamborghini. So yes, I'm glad I was right for once, because often I'm wrong. Andrew says, there's so many releases it became an addictive game. The pre-owned market is still good if you don't mind not having a box. Absolutely. Definitely agree with that. And Keith is echoing my sentiments. He loves Stan Solo figures. Andrew's got a funny tale. Got flippant and spent 900 quid on Brave Star figures. My wife got the parcel and the bloody seller included the invoice. She opened the box. Oh dear. What's this? Toy drama you guys created ruined toy collecting. Thanks, all things 80s junk man. I'll piss off. What time is this? 3:45. Damn it, I can't see here. But if someone is watching who has a wrench, get this guy off. I did nothing to ruin toy collecting, and you know it, prick. Hi, Dean. Prices are ridiculous these days when you can get a Stan Solo figure for the price of 2 vintage collection figures. Something is wrong with these big companies. Of course, yeah. Mark says, enjoyed your video regards Star Wars VHS. Look my ones up on eBay. They were going for around £4 each. Ah, well, yeah. And as I said in that video, yes, the asking price is one thing, but as I showed in the completed listings, people are paying thousands for these sealed VHS tapes. And Kickback agrees, absolutely love classic space Lego and classic castle Lego. I never had any classic Lego, but yes, space Lego is one of my all-time favorite toys. Ah, Ken, good to see you. So, just bought a load of Tente Astro, Spanish Lego competitor from the 70s. Don't think anyone else collects it in the UK, so nice and affordable. Nice. You should have kept that secret, because now you're going to get people watching this are going to start outbidding you. Wow. So 800 is the most I've spent on a vinyl cake Jawa. Wow. What's this? We want to talk about Motu classics. You need to pay €300 to afford a loose He-Man on the secondary market. We are speaking about a figure made 15 years ago and available on Matty's store till 2014. Yeah, crazy. Which toy lines do you think are overpriced and underpriced at the moment? I don't know. Well, obviously, anything with the name Star Wars on it immediately becomes overpriced on eBay. But for a while, though, and maybe it's still the case, but when I was trying to catch up with the Masters of the Universe Origins, I was able to get caught up by using a combination of Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, Amazon, and a little bit of eBay, and really got most of it for retail price, which was wonderful. So that's been a really good value for money line. Jason says, I think the most I've spent on a collective was 120 on a 25th anniversary Y-Wing new in box. Yeah, that's a lot of money, but it's a nice item though. Only one Kenobi. The Power Rangers are for me what the Turtles were for you, Dean. I loved the Turtles when they hit. At the time, seemed massive. Tough to get toys too. Power Rangers passed me by. Yeah, I think I only just missed the Turtles. Someone can maybe comment what year they hit big in the UK. And I think they were called Hero Turtles as well for some weird reason. But if that was 88-ish, I definitely was no longer involved in toys at that point. I've bought very expensive G1 Transformer figures, but was able to avoid payment plan prices. Yeah. Takara Megatron is the best choice with the sword they admitted in the US. Really, yeah, that's true. Although I don't actually display the sword. So his aunt got him the Steve Austin with the rocket and the operating table. That's nice. I actually had two Maskatrons and one $6 million man. So now but the $6 million man that I've recently acquired was the one that had the bionic grip and the orange steel girder, whereas the one I had came with the engine block. But I'm very happy with it. I might do a video on it. As I said earlier, I began doing the unboxing video, but there were a couple of issues with it, one of which was the skin had just deteriorated and began crumbling in some parts and is stuck to it in other parts, and it has made a complete mess. I started cursing and I said, screw this, I'm not going to film this any further, but I'll maybe try to get around it some way. George says, most I ever spent was £450 on Action Force job lot that had the Z-Force Command Center, the exclusive figures, a Z-Force ATC, and several other vehicles and figures. Yeah, but I think that's good value for money when you get a lot. That I could justify spending that much on that lot that you've just listed there. That sounds pretty awesome. What's this? About 10 years ago, I put the word out at my workplace I was collecting 80s toys. In the weeks after, guys my age were bringing in black bags full of Star Wars, Mask, He-Man, Transformers, you name it. Wow, that'd be like a dream come true. Actually, the people next door, the elderly couple, so their son, I think he is, let me think, he must be circa 40 years old. He's left, he lives on his own with his girlfriend somewhere. And I was talking to the old neighbor. He's, what, 76 or something. And he tells me that in his attic are all his son's original Masters of the Universe figures. And he knows that I buy and sell on eBay. And I don't want to be rude and ask him, but I'm just hoping one day he might say, hey, you want to see what I've got if you're interested? But he's never done that yet. So all they can say is approximately 10 yards that way, there's an attic full of classic Motu. Did you have 1970s Adventure 2000 Battle or Sea Kings Matchbox lines, Dean? I love those. Yes, I did. I had the one, I don't know what you call it, but it was like a tank that had the vehicle that slotted in, and when you pressed the button, the little vehicle would shoot out. I had that, absolutely loved it. Andrew asks, would you buy the custom shark? Absolutely, yes. Where do you stand on customs? I love them. Absolutely. Here's a good point. Late night alcohol-induced eBay purchases can be almost as dangerous as drunk texting. Have a boxed Remco energized Spider-Man that I'm sure I'll end up with after a few Friday night scoops. Awesome, yes, I love that Spider-Man. I have one that doesn't actually work, but just having it in my possession brings back so many great memories. So Kickback says, I wasn't aware of Gloria Baker's second vehicle. I see it now and I stand corrected. Says the man in the orthopedic shoes. Anyway, I'm man enough to put my hand up and admit I got it wrong when I'm wrong. Yeah, I mean, it's not widely known because it never appeared in the cartoon. And I guess it was just an afterthought to finally get a Gloria Baker figure out into the market. Ryan says, hey Dean, enjoying the live stream as usual during my lunch break on the West Coast. Keep up the awesomeness. Thank you. Clone Ranger says, Doctor Who, overpriced? I don't know. I don't have any knowledge on Doctor Who toys. Have you talked about the HasLab Rancor? No. My God, we're over an hour into this and I'm still not caught up. Okay, hold that thought. I'm going to try and get there. So Andrew is telling us it was Hero Turtles in the UK, and that was around 88. So for sure, I was not collecting toys at that point, which is why I have no connection to the Turtles, which I'm glad about because I don't want to get suckered into buying a $500 van. Love your channel. Thank you, especially the 66 Batman reviews. Thank you so much. That's the thing. I have so much stuff to talk about Batman 66. I hope people aren't getting bored because it just seems that by far the most popular videos that I do relate to Star Wars. But there's more to 80s toys than just Star Wars. And again, Vomit Man saying 88, 89 when Turtles first hit. And he was too old for them as well. Keith says, yes, they were quickly renamed Turtles in the UK. Ninja was deemed too violent sounding. Good Lord. The Turtles were the last thing I collected as a kid. I was in like 6th and 7th grade. They're still one of my favorites, but being born in 77, Star Wars will always be my favorite. Yeah. So here we go. Most spent, my side, not to brag, more pathetic, is 500 quid on a carded Indiana Jones figure and 400 quid on the convoy truck from Indiana. Wow. Ben says, seem to remember the cartoon also having fight scenes edited out, leaving confusing jump cuts. Might have contributed to being less popular in the UK. Interesting. Brendan, good to see you. Brought my 80s toy. Not as rich as I used to be, but have a lot more quality friends now. Yeah, that's what it's all about. So Kieran is telling us the cartoon started in 87, so UK would have been 88, 89. Okay. So that's good to know that I wasn't missing out, because for sure toys were the last thing on my mind at that point in time. Keith says, was also really into Transformers. I collect all of it. I got vintage, modern, third party, and even non-transforming Transformers. I'm a sucker for cool robots and always will be. That's good. Jim says, years ago, our recycling room had a box full of UK Smith's 12-inch vinyl. Talk about a find. Good luck with your neighbour. Yeah. He did tell me there is a Castle Grayskull up there, as well as all the figures. But I would never be so presumptuous as to say, hey, can I have them, or would you? I wouldn't put him on the spot and ask to buy them, but maybe one day he'll offer, who knows. Lone Dragon, good to see you. Sorry I'm late. Walmart run. Got Masterverse, Man-at-Arms, and Tila. UK is also the reason Mikey had to use a grappling hook instead of nunchuck in the later seasons. So I guess that's the cartoon being edited. That's weird, isn't it? Turtles hype in the UK, however, was peaking on or around summer of '90 here in the UK. There was always a lag between the US and UK. Okay. 1990, I was full on into playing football and listening to Iron Maiden. And why my favorite Dinobot can no longer be called Slag. So really, is that a UK thing, or is it global now that you can't call them Slag? That's silly, really. So in the UK and Ireland, the word ninja was replaced by hero, so it didn't sound so offensive or aggressive. Oh boy. Colt says, really like Mask, but it's really just the vehicles, and that's really the only thing people talk about on that property. Maybe I'm the odd one out, but I like the figures, and I like the novelty of having the mask, although it wasn't necessarily new, given that we had some Star Wars figures with the masks. I would politely ask them, Dean, I find the direct "I'm interested in toys" gets people thinking about what's sitting around taking up space. Wife brought home a TIE fighter from a co-worker. Yeah, I mean, we've had it's come up in conversation a few times now, and he's made no effort to suggest that he would be willing to part with them, whether by donating them or me buying them. I don't know. I don't like to be too presumptuous with people. Besides, I have all these new Origins versions. Only one says, I bought giant turtles from KB Toys age 9 plus on holiday in Florida. When I brought them back to the UK, we were stopped in the street by loads asking where we got them. Turtles were huge in '90. Yeah, that's pretty cool that you would have got them with the proper logo on the box. I'm missing some super chats here. Andrew, thank you very much. Thank you for making me feel less stupid over Rise of Evil. No, you're not stupid. And Soda Colvin, thank you very much. Just a small donation to show my appreciation for all that you do. Keep on keeping on, sir. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. Very, very kind. And Keith says, he joined the police in '87. Now he feels really old. Yeah, there are times I do feel very old in this whole game, because there are a lot of people who are like 4 or 5 years younger than me doing this kind of stuff, and I do feel old. And a lot of them have such great hair. I don't understand how that can be. But anyway, Monkey Boy bought a vintage Slag mint box as soon as I realized they were going to change his name. So what year did they change the name Slag? In fact, I think I remember hearing the word slag on EastEnders back in the 80s. So it couldn't have been that offensive. And Keith also loves the scale of Mask figures. Yeah, it's a unique scale. And it allowed them to do all the vehicles where that may not have been possible had they gone with a a larger scale of figure. And George says, I remember in 1990 in the Blackpool, the arcade had the Turtles game. The first Gulf War was kicking off, and Total Recall was in the cinema. Okay, 1990. In fact, now you mentioned the Gulf War, I think it was 1990 that Megadeth's Rust in Peace album was coming out, and the first single, Holy Wars, got delayed just as the Gulf War was kicking off. So, Andrew says, Christmas tradition in my house of making a Lego set on Christmas Eve. Anyone doing the same? Almost. I'll need to do it quite soon, but I have this year's Christmas Lego set to build, and I'm really looking forward to that. Maybe because we're going to put our decorations up next Thursday. Need to do that some point next week. And Mark asked, do you remember the cartoon Danger Mouse? Then the Gaelic version, Donny Murdo, which means nothing in Gaelic. It was just to match the DM on his top. Of course I remember Danger Mouse. That was one of my nicknames because of the initials. And I do vaguely remember the Donny Murdo. Yeah. It's funny, but when the Turtles were renamed to heroes, you could buy weapons like real ninja stars, nunchucks, and swords in sports shops in Ireland. Yeah, some of the way things are censored and whatnot is just stupid. Excuse me. So, if Hasbro is charging $20 a piece for G.I. Joe O-ring figures now, I'd imagine that mask reissues would get us into the sell your blood and kidney prices. Yeah, I'm trying to imagine if they did an exact scale match reissue, Thunderhawk, for example, what would they charge for that? $50, $60 maybe? Who knows? Are you a fan of the new Masters of the Universe Revelation? I enjoy it as much as the original, if I'm honest. Nope, haven't watched it, and no real interest in watching it. Brendan says, Xmas Day, I either volunteer for the morning shift and finish at 2, or I have it off and presents in the morning with Xmas movies in the afternoon with friends who have no family. Horror Xmas filmed last year. That's awesome. Yeah. Very nice. I seriously want that Lego Super Star Destroyer, but no idea where I would put it, as it's at least 4 or 5 feet long, and I believe it has 25,000 pieces. Wow. Am I getting close to being caught up yet? Let me see. So, this might be way off topic, but are you in agreement that a pile of bones is a joke from HasLab for the Rancor? I don't really pay much attention to it. However, I do know what you're talking about. And yes, a pile of bones is a joke. So I was correct. The phrase "you slag" was indeed a common occurrence in EastEnders. $20 for an O-ring fig or 23 for a 6-inch Joe. That won't last long. So slag became slug in 2007. Wow. Did slag become slug after a workplace accident? Mine are still slag. I paid for them. I'll call them what I want. Yes, good for you. Master of the Universe animated actually is more fun than Revelations. Yeah, I've actually just began re-watching the original Masters of the Universe cartoon. I've watched 3 episodes, and I have to say I'm not loving it. Obviously, as a kid, I loved the show, and I don't really have too many memories of it, so I'm watching it completely fresh, and it's just not grabbing me. But maybe I'll give it a bit more. But as things stand, I'm not loving it, but who knows? Given the way these companies currently price these toys, I'd be surprised if one didn't have to take out loans to afford them. Yep. And I'm trying to see if I can get caught up. I think I am almost caught up here. What's this? I gave up drinking from a toy budget. Yeah. Anyone in need of the latest wave of Mega Constructs Motu, I got shipped an extra by accident. Oh, that's very kind. You've caught up. Okay, we're caught up. Nicely done. So, I was looking online, and some of these new releases. So we have a Lego AT-AT selling for, I believe, circa $800. We have a Playmobil Starship Enterprise for $500. We have the Turtles van for $500. And in addition to those ridiculous prices, I'm not that familiar with Black Series and the Marvel figures, but I'm assuming those figures are what, in excess of $20 each. Now, when I was a kid, I think I got something like £2 a week pocket money, and it was £1 from each set of grandparents. And with that, I was able to either buy a Star Wars figure each week, or I could save up for a few weeks. And I distinctly remember buying my speeder bike with money I'd saved up for a few weeks. And things like I would spend pocket money buying Panini stickers, which, if I remember rightly, they were like 10p a pack back in '85. So with £1, you get 10 packs of stickers. Now, nowadays, with Black Series figures being what, $24 or something, I don't know what they are in pounds, but I don't know how much pocket money kids get these days, but I'm assuming it won't be enough to allow them to buy a figure a week. With regards to stickers, like I said, 10p a pack of Panini football stickers, so £1 got me 10 packs. I think over here, a pack of Topps cards are like $3 or something. How the hell are kids expected to be able to collect things and enjoy them the way we did as kids? So I need to know, what are the general thoughts on some of these toys costing $500, $600, $700, $800? It's just obscene. It really is. And let's go back to the comments. Hopefully we can get some chat going as to these new toys that are costing almost $1,000 for a set of Lego. Who would have thought that? Again, with Lego, I remember getting my pocket money and saving up for a couple of weeks and buying some of those little space Lego sets that came in those little boxes. I don't know what the cheapest Lego set is these days, but probably what, $10, $12 or something. So KB is saying that Mask is kind of dated. I don't know if you mean the cartoon, because the cartoon, watching it now, is not necessarily that enjoyable, but the toys very much still some of my favorite toys from the 80s. Love those. Kids get paid like $20 to mow the grass now. Tooth Fairy brings 50. My God. I think, yeah, I got 50 for a tooth, but that was 50 pence. Jim says, my allowance went to Star Wars figures under 3 Canadian comic cards. Money was not an issue. Kenner had the right attitude. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I remember Star Wars figures being like a £1.25 or something, or £1.50. So therefore, I was able to afford a figure a week. And if I saved up for 2 weeks, I could get myself a little mini rig or something. Kieran says, sadly, modern toys are not priced for children to collect. They are priced for adult collectors. Yeah, but that being the case, what do kids spend their pocket money on? Or are they buying themselves, what do you call those, prepaid Google cards to buy video games or something? It's all very sad. Yeah, so KB's confirming that it's the cartoon that hasn't aged well. Yeah. Gorgitron says toy companies don't want children's pocket money anymore. They want adult collectors' retirement funds. Yeah, I mean that's certainly the case. Out of interest, what is the price on this HasLab Rancor? It's a couple hundred, I guess. And to be honest, I don't even like the vintage Rancor. So if I was a Black Series collector, I would not be happy at the Rancor being the best they could offer. I think the cheapest Lego sets are between $4 or $5. I'm guessing that's like sort of generic Lego City. I'm sure Star Wars with the license fee at least 10. Crazy prices. Same with US comics. Individual issues were like 25 cents, 20p back in the early 80s. Yep. Now an individual issue is $4, £3.50. Too expensive to collect. Yeah. On Twitter a week or two back, I posted a picture of myself in Walgreens in their little magazine section. I was just browsing because I haven't bought a magazine in a long, long time. And they had a Star Trek magazine. I thought, oh, Star Trek, cool. Picked it up. $14 for a magazine. Like, what the hell? When we as adults with disposable cash cannot afford these toys, there is no way a young family with kids over 10 could buy toys at the rate we could have. For $20, I will do your... Yeah. I was paid $5 to stain our deck back in the day. Grass was $2. Yeah. So Keith says, my kid is 7 and lately he's really into Black Series and Marvel Legends. And we usually get him some kind of figure every couple of weeks. Like once a month we go to a local toy shop that sells vintage. That's nice. Keith says, I bought the Action Man SAS key figure as a kid for £9.99 from a local toy shop. The last Action Man I ever bought. So there you go. £10 for a 12-inch Action Man. I mean that. So I'm trying to do some rough calculations of what that would have cost something similar today. What, £30, £40 or something? In pounds, what, 25, 30, in dollars, probably $40 for an Action Man. Excuse me. Wow. George got a Lego Millennium Falcon complete in a box for a tenner. Wow. So being a child of the 90s and 2000s, I can't see what the attraction is with a decade full of misogyny, racism, and violent homophobia. Admit the toys were awesome. That's got nothing to do with it. £10 was the cheapest Star Wars related Lego I could find. It was 2 figures in a tiny vehicle. That's just too much. Kids would break a $20 to $30 dollar figure fast as well. Yeah. They are made to be better articulation and thus are not as sturdy. Yeah, that's true actually. Yeah, I did say that when I think I looked at a vintage collection figure. In fact, I've done that a couple of times in the past, and they are like over articulated, and yeah, there's no way a kid could play with that. There's another thing. Most of my kids' money goes to digital content in games like Minecraft and Roblox. That's what I thought. The new toys are probably for us with more disposable income. I remember saving my £2 for 10 weeks and buying a Millennium Falcon. My kids just want Roblox boxes. Yeah, that's exactly the point I'm getting at. And when you saved your pocket money for weeks on end to buy something you really wanted, it made the purchase so much more satisfying to know that you'd saved, and finally the prize was yours. Yeah, Keith Knight's echoing what I just said. That's a bizarre comment. Yeah. Misogyny, racism, and violence. Oh, come on. Anyway. Yeah. So the cheapest Lego on those small. Yeah, I know what you mean. I've seen those. You know what I hate about modern cheap toys as well? Is this thing about blind bags. I've seen a lot of those. I actually purchased one to see what it was all about. I think it's a ridiculous way to market something because you know that when they have like 9 or 10 figures in a series and they're blind bagged, you end up buying more than you need to complete the set. And I don't know. Keith Chaos says, I think digital skins and such from games are like the new action figures. I'm 44 and I play Fortnite. Their character design is great. So I'm guessing that the skin, is that referring to how the character looks? The HasLab Rancor must reach its target for backers. The 6-inch line is the be-all and end-all now. So if not enough people back it by a certain date, does that mean it doesn't get made? I got £4 per tooth, £1 from each parent and each grandparent that I saw. Right, wow. Magazines are really expensive. Cheapest magazine runs $5. Yeah. That's another thing I remember with my pocket money. I could go into the local news agent and pick up like a smash hits, get a couple of newsprint comics, and have change to get myself a ice cream or something. Those were the days. My lad lost his final baby tooth a few weeks back. The tooth fairy left him £2. Which tooth fairy is giving more than that? Yeah, that's pretty good value. And George says, Lego used to get given free in the newspapers in the UK. They stopped it now. They cost between 50p and £1 for the weekend papers. You know what? When I was back in the UK 2 years ago, I bought a Star Wars Lego comic. And that came with a bag of Lego. And that must have been what? Was it £4 or something? £5? Quite a lot, but it seemed an okay value compared to some of the other magazines I saw when I was there. What were the most expensive toys back in the 80s? Action figures, I mean, as a whole. I think they were all priced very similarly, like Action Force, Star Wars. I don't really remember the Indiana Jones figures, but yeah, everything was very much the same, so very much affordable for kids. I couldn't go there. I went straight to Margaret Thatcher as a world leader. Gay pride coming out in Australia with large public Mardi Gras and protests against apartheid. Jim, good to see you. Toy companies seem to think they can only get you on the hook for 1 or 2 items. Notice you never see collect them all on modern toys inspired by the 80s stuff. Yeah, I really miss the back of the card where all the line was there, pictured and lined up with a number and the key telling you what each figure was called. And of course, the famous words, collect them all. I think I heard someone say they're not allowed to do that for some reason, which is weird. I also hold on to all my kids' accessories for his figures. He knows he'll lose them. As soon as he opens the figure, he hands me the accessories. Ah, good boy. That makes complete sense. Fortunately, I was very careful with my accessories. To the best of my knowledge, I only ever lost Darth Vader's cape and lightsaber, and I think I lost the Hoth Stormtrooper's rifle. But those were my two first ever Star Wars figures, so there were like mitigating circumstances. And Monkey Boy agrees he hates blind bags. The very idea offends me. Yeah, it is. It's stupid. Oh, here we go with stuff about social justice warriors. Yeah. No one would really bring that stuff up. I've no interest in hearing about that. My brother always won in Lego battles because I saved up for castles and whatnot, and he bought nothing but the $3 Lego Knights and Horses sets. But wasn't it great to have sets available for $3 though? George says the most expensive toys were the bikes like the Chopper and the BMX. The most expensive Star Wars was the AT-AT and the early games consoles. Yeah, for sure the AT-AT and the Falcon were the most expensive. And I, for at least two Christmases, 82 and 83, wanted those and was never allowed them. And when I got Star Wars, so 83 was my big Star Wars Christmas. And I didn't get those, but I did get 4 or 5 lesser vehicles. So Keith confirms skins are a character's appearance. Oh, okay, Scuba, I see what you're talking about. Right. Who was that's the name? Okay, I know not to bring that up. Back in the day, I'd save up for a toy, but then it was out of the stores, never to be seen again. Nowadays, you can just look on eBay. Yeah. Although I have to be honest and say, I don't remember there never being something I wanted in stock. I mean, I still remember the glorious sight of an entire store wall just being covered in peg upon peg of Star Wars figures. And for the most part, you could always get what you wanted. Ben says, the frustrating thing is our generation's enthusiasm that inflates the prices for vintage and modern toys. When we're gone, I'm guessing the toy values will too. Yeah, definitely. So this is talking about this HasLab Rancor doesn't have great stretch goals for an overpriced toy. So I'm guessing, like from what I know of it, one of them is a carded Gamorrean guard that already exists in Black Series, and the other is a bag of bones or something. I mean, I don't know. So Keith got 50p per week pocket money as a kid. I saved up to buy an Action Man military police uniform for £2.50. I was thrilled that I bought my own toy. It would have been about 77, 78. That's what it's all about. Like I said, when you would save your pocket money and the feeling you would get when you had enough money saved up to buy that toy you always wanted, such a great feeling. That's something now about being an adult, that everything's done with plastic cards these days, and you just swipe it or you punch in your details. There was something truly magical about saving up those pound notes, as they were back then, and going into a store to hand them over. So The HasLab Rancor has less than 4 weeks left, but is still 4,000 backers away from going ahead. I think the fans have finally realized these crowdfunding projects from toy companies aren't good value. Yeah, you better believe it. Okay, sorry about that, Scuba. It's very hard for me to know what's going on. So clearly you're doing a damn fine job on the YouTube end. So I'm making sure not to bring up any of these clowns' comments. Welcome back, Jason. So did you win the pop quiz? Matthew says it's a money grab. I'm guessing that's the HasLab. Kickback says, loved buying smash hits and Lucan magazine here in Dublin back in the day. Then when I grew up and started getting into motocross bikes, I bought the UK-based Dirt Bike Rider magazine. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. There was something, again, that I missed dearly was that going into a newsagent and being faced with a whole wall of comics and magazines, and also the dirty ones on the top shelf you would try and sneak a peek at, going in with a pound note and coming away with 3 or 4 comics, a magazine, and a bag of Revels. Those were the days. Monkey Boy still has a BMX and he's 44. Any kid who had the Falcon were often from well-to-do families. Land Speeder, X-Wing, TIE Fighter were common gifts. Yeah, I got the Snow Speeder, X-Wing, Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, and Jabba the Hutt in '83 for Christmas, despite begging for an AT-AT, but can't complain. And Jason says, I keep looking at the mystery boxes at my local HMV and think £25 is a lot for not knowing what you will get. And knowing my luck, it'd be rubbish. Yeah, exactly. Or knowing your luck, you buy one and then they go back next week and buy the same damn thing again. I think blind bagging is a terrible practice. See, this is where the whole thing with these spammers gets annoying, because as Scuba mentioned, he's taking care of it all, and I inadvertently bring them up again. So I'm trying not to bring up these idiotic comments. Samantha says, yes, indeed. The Falcon was my big holy grail as a kid, and I finally got it from a yard sale after some years. Excellent. So Nathan doesn't buy for the stretch goals, but it's still a bit pricey. I mean, so this whole stretch thing is, how does it work? Does it mean if they get X amount of backers over the minimum number required, they throw in extra goodies and things? I don't know. In the good old days of my youth, just after the dinosaurs died off, and just before Toys R Us was born, I always visited a small independent toy shop called Jennings for all of my toy needs. Awesome. Biker, good to see you. And Lone Dragon says, HasLab is not smart, put on pack, but you have to have already bought the neutrino wand for it at retail. Yeah. So Jason did not win. Let's say it was bad last team. So Jim, not against crowdfunding in general. My problem with it is that the pricing is almost always too high relative to what you're supposed to get. Besides, just make the damn thing. Yeah, of course. Don't care how much my collection is worth because it's getting buried with me. King Tut style. Future archaeologists will discover me and think I was some big deal. Okay. Yeah, I've got to skip that one. I don't know about a rich man's game, but many of the action figures these days are marketed to, made for, and bought by adults for display, not play. They are priced accordingly. I don't know. I don't think $25 for a Black Series figure that doesn't represent good value for money to me, whether or not it can be played with or displayed. I could go off about the Sky Striker, one of the most common vintage toys still around and durable, being their first foray. But it's like arguing with a wall, talking to their fan children. I'm guessing that's the G.I. Joe plane that I've seen pictures of. George says, the HasLab Rancor is a waste of money. Why not release it at retail? The original one is also far cheaper. Yeah. Good times indeed, Dean. My mum used to send me in to buy milk, and she'd let me keep the change. Eventually, I would gather the change and buy comics with it. Yeah, that's how we used to do it. If it's a toy company just starting out, then crowdfunding makes sense. If a company has billions in the bank and can afford to take a normal business risk, then I disagree with that. Yeah, I agree with that entirely. Excuse me. So Jason got the Falcon when he was a kid, had to put it on the catalogue. Yeah, I remember those catalogues. Those were the best. Especially the ladies' underwear section. So, do you think Hasbro will ever get rid of the weathered edging look on the retro collection packaging and give the line the love it deserves? Probably not. I think everyone and their dog has complained about it looking stupid, and they still do it. And interestingly enough, you may have seen the video a week or two back. In my local discount store, they had those golden Star Wars figures on discount, so I bought a few of them. And the card stock they used is like rock solid, fantastic card. If only they would use that on retro collection. Let's see, I don't understand the HasLab Sky Striker not being a general release. $250 is a lot, but it doesn't seem terribly high for what you're getting. Yeah, I mean, that's how ridiculous things are that we're now saying that $250 is not a lot. Certainly in the grand scheme of things, it's not. HasLab already lost all my money for what they did with Unicron. Gave not enough time to come up with the dollars, then extended the time to what would have been enough time had I not spent the previous dollars. Okay. And this is a very good point. I don't have room for anything. I agree with that. Vomit Man. I got an AT-AT secondhand at my junior school jumble sale back in the late 80s for a couple of quid. Didn't have it long, as my mother said it was taking up too much room. Probably went in the bin. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of us still cringe at the thought of some of our toys that were probably tossed out back in the day. And Scuba is saying, yeah, they sold that last Falcon for $400 at Target. So yeah, they can put these big pricey items for general release at stores. What's this? Hasbro have said they are doing stronger card backs for the retro collection, but think the weathering is here to stay. Also, those damn stickers. Okay, you want to put stickers on it, fine, but make it easy to remove, because who wants that stupid sticker on their card back? Jim says, I feel like Motu Origins has really set the stage when it comes to reasonable pricing at retail for a modern line, but poor distribution makes it less successful than it should be. Absolutely. I think Motu Origins has been the best modern toy line that I've ever seen, and it really did capture my attention, and that's why I'm all in. Again, partly because I never had Motu as a kid, but always wanted it, so I'm making up for lost time. But the way it's been done, you know, four figures at a time, reasonably priced, and a handful of vehicles in one big massive playset is so good. And if only other toy lines would follow that model, but who knows? What's Ben saying? Yes, good work, Scuba. Absolutely. Reckon we could get a few more likes for Dean too. 57 out of 92. Yeah. Let me just refresh my YouTube because I'm seeing. What am I seeing? 57 out of 86. Wow. Nathan says, I'm a musician. I'm setting a dedicated tip jar to pay for that Lego AT-AT. Yeah. Hi, Dean. Getting my ass kicked at work today, but I'm listening in the background. As always, I enjoy your content. Well, thank you so much. Luke, got to run. Great show, Dean. Really enjoyed it. Thanks again for being super mod Scuba. Absolutely. Glad you could stop by, Luke. And as Scuba says, hit the like, please. My first Star Wars vehicle had been the Slave One. Did not even know how to hold that thing correctly, land or flight mode. Since it had been different from the usual spaceship designs. Yeah, absolutely. So the great thing about collecting vintage is there are bargains to be had as long as you're prepared to do the hunting. Yeah, absolutely. There are always going to be bargains. John says, thank you. Hope you have a great evening in New York City. Well, thank you so much. Masterverse is decently priced. Bigger figures with more accessories for the same price as Marvel Legends and Joe Classified. So what's this? Is it also true that Hasbro Pulse don't ship outside of continental North America? It's just something I heard again. If I'm wrong, I'm going to put my hand up. I'm not sure. Aside from the retro collection, I don't think I have any involvement with Hasbro. Obviously the vintage G.I. Joes, but vintage is a whole other story. Yeah, this is a great point. Everyone bought the Razor Crest only to see it blown to smithereens in the show before delivery. Yeah. Wow. So Monkey Boy sold a masked rhino for £6 at a car boot sale in the early 90s. I have another one now, but still kick myself about that. Oh, I know what you mean. I like this one. So Keith's youngest daughter announced that she's planning on moving out to live with her boyfriend. I just looked at her bomb site bedroom and thought, hello, new toy room. Nice one. Brendan. Finally getting his first rhino from Reclaimer Toys. No Mask came to me as a child, but catching up now. Yeah. Mask, my last ever foray into toys as a child, but I love it. So it is true about the shipping, but there are international distributors that Hasbro sell through, including HasLab. So you can get HasLab in the UK. Okay. HasLab doesn't ship worldwide, while small companies can do that. Yeah, bizarre. Oh. Blake, thank you so much. That is unbelievably generous of you. Thank you. Thank you for the great content, Dean. Buy some great toys. Oh, I really do appreciate that. That is so generous of you. Thank you again. Um, Debating on skipping Beastman, hoping for a better version. Skipping Andra 2 unless her character is vastly improved in the last half of season 1. I'm guessing that's the Masters of the Universe Revelations. Cochitron says, adult children moving out, they dream of every toy collector who's out of space. So we're still trapped in the worldwide COVID embargoes, though. There are still places all over the world that can't be shipped to, even Australia. Yeah. It's weird how things cannot be shipped from America to Australia, but you have to then go to send something to the UK to then send it to Australia. It's all bizarre, isn't it? Excuse me. So we're getting close to the end here. So I'm out of curiosity, is there anyone who's watching this who is considering an $800 Lego AT-AT or a $500 Turtles van or the $500 Playmobil Enterprise? I did notice it was on sale on Amazon last week for only $350. And whilst it's a stunning piece, the Playmobil Enterprise, I cannot see where they are getting that $500 price tag from. Absolutely crazy amount of money. And I am not a fan of Playmobil figures. Those are the worst figures out there, possibly. Although the vehicles they do for things like Back to the Future, James Bond, those are great looking vehicles. It's just the figures really do let things down. Terrible, terrible figures. I think I'm almost caught up here, which is quite remarkable. So Jason says his brother would get the $800 AT-AT if he had room for it. Wow. I just don't know how they can, with a straight face, charge you $800 for a Lego set. Absolutely crazy. And KB has a good point. The only $800 toy we'll buy is a Vectrix. Yeah. I'm trying to think, what would I spend $800 on? Probably a Corgi Batman 3-pack, Batmobile, Batcopter, and Batboat. Those go for way over $1,000. God no, but I do have the $600 Lego Millennium Falcon, but the missus bought me that for Christmas one year. I went mental at her for spending that much. Yeah, high cost is not justified. Prefer to save to hunt down future Star Wars vintage items. Falcon last 17, yeah. Yeah, Kieran agrees. If I had that much money, I would rather buy as many vintage or modern toys. Yeah, absolutely. If you had $800 that you had to spend on toys, it would not be getting spent on one Lego set. I was shocked to see the $90 price tag on the 18 van when the Ecto 1 and DeLorean were both under 40. Yeah, that's crazy. Why is the 18 van so expensive? Jim has added a new shelf in the man cave for Valaverse Action Force. I'm all in on this great new line. Gives a nod to some classic Palette Action Force. Yeah, I'll be getting one Valorverse Action Force figure. I'm sure you know which one it is. I'm not in a position to be collecting more modern lines, but I do want that one figure. Interesting sentiment, but F the HasLab Rancor. So retro game collecting has also become expensive. Yeah. What's this? Nope. Boxed AT-AT with inserts from America in great condition with chin guns for $250 now on eBay. Why pay so much more when my real interest is in the original stuff? Yeah. Okay. General rule: 10 cents per piece in a Lego set. So I don't know how many pieces there are in this AT-AT, but still very expensive. It's only worth spending $800 on vintage toys. Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Yeah, I felt dizzy and sick every time I spent $200. Yeah, I actually felt physically sick when I bought my Batman and Robin Hot Toys. It wasn't until I had them in hand and saw how great they were that I felt a bit better, but that really did make me feel quite unwell for a while. Yeah, so even when you add in the licensing fee, it's still pretty steep. Certainly is. Lego is way overpriced today. Crazy amounts of dollars. Yep. Nathan, we'll be getting the Lego AT-AT. Well, good for you. If that's what you like, then you go for it. I absolutely won't pay that sort of money for any modern toy. Fair play if you do. Not for me. It's only plastic. I would have to go vintage Kenner first. I absolutely agree with that. KB, correct. Yes. Great content, Dean. Shame on the trolls. Thanks for all you do at All Things April. Thank you so much. Nope, not Sergeant Slaughter. Nope. I'll get one of my friend Tony. I'm assuming you've all seen his unboxing of the Paint Master of his Desert Rat figure. Can you imagine getting an action figure of yourself made for a general release line? That must be such a buzz. Although I'm trying to imagine what an action figure of me would look like, with just an overweight dude with plaid shirt and jeans and a beer gut. Not much action going on there. Jim says, retro video game collecting got overinflated even before vintage toys, and it's only getting full-on insane. Ben says, thanks, Dean. Thanks, Scuba. Just in case I run out of time and night all in the chat. Well, thank you for stopping by. I think I'm over time, so I'm going to try and catch up with this. I wanted to get the entire series 1 of Action Force, but that would be 400, so I'm sticking with Swarm Trooper and Accessory Pack. I'll get Desert Rat when it comes out, but that's it. Yeah, you have to pick and choose what you spend your money on. Most I've spent was for 2 vintage, albeit incomplete, Sandcrawlers. Had buyer's remorse until I saw them on display. Love the vintage. Yeah, absolutely. It's all about, you have to weigh up how much pleasure you're going to get from owning something. And again, you get over the initial shock of spending that much, but when you see it on display, it makes it all worthwhile. Daniel says it went fast. Yeah, it flew by. It always does. Kieran, another awesome live stream from Dean for All Things 80s. Always a pleasure to spend time with Dean and everyone in the chat. I love this collecting community. Well, thank you. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Your action figure would be you holding a TIE fighter up to your nose. Yes, it would. Did you watch Beatles About in the 80s? Yes, I did. We all know Beetle and his little hand. Been collecting video games far longer than I have toys, so a lot of this seems like old hat to me. You veteran, you, Jim. So any figure of me would have to include Slave, Leia, or Julie Newmar. Wink, wink. Yep. Let me see. Great live stream as always, Dean. Look forward to the next one. We'll address the next one in just a few minutes. My grail is that original 78 remote-controlled Java Sandcrawler. It's the one I never saw in the stores and never had one or seen one in person. Keith says, a figure of me would be in action man. Comes with a sofa, beer, and 20 cats. Our parents used to go through their midlife crisis and buy a sports car. Yeah, that used to be the midlife crisis thing. Now it's buying action figures. Nothing wrong with that. So I want to say thank you all for tuning into this. Again, I'm blown away by the number of people watching. Huge thank you for those generous super chats. I very much do appreciate that, and I can't believe how generous you all are. Big thank you to the moderators, and in particular Scuba Pete, for doing a sterling job, and I apologize for bringing up that comment that was already deleted. As has been said, what I see here is not the same as what was on YouTube, so sometimes these comments do slip through. And regarding the live stream next week, so next Thursday is Thanksgiving Day, so I'm thinking I'll do the stream either Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. I've not decided yet. It just so happens that I'm sure most of you in America will be too busy eating turkey, and Mrs. 88 and I will be busy decorating the place for Christmas. So it will not be next Thursday, but there will be a stream next week. And just going to try and grab a few of these last comments. Again, if I didn't bring your comment up, I do apologize. It's just I have to, get through as many as possible. So here we go. Thanks for another great live stream. Have a great night or day, everyone. Jim, well, thank you for watching, Jim. Keith, great stream as always, mate. Having a crappy day, and this has cheered me up. Thank you, my friend. Oh, you're very welcome. That's what it's all about. And great stream, Dean. Well done, mods, for keeping it clean. All the best. And we've got a few more coming through. Oh my God, there's still a lot. Nice to see everyone in the chat. Thanks, Dean, and cheers to Scuba. I absolutely agree with that. Thanks for streaming, Dean. Enjoyable as always. Have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you. You too, if you are indeed in America. Stay safe, everyone. Another great stream. Well, thank you, Daniel. So many toys, Sir Dean, but so little cash to go around, and the expensive toys separate us from the rich. Very true. Super stoked to see the Christmas background videos. You and me both can't wait for that. And as always, great time here. Thanks for being awesome. Well, again, thank you all. Thank you to those who gave those amazing super chats. Thank you to Scuba and any other mods. If I did miss you, I do apologize for not giving you a call out. And we'll see you next week. And I will let you know well in advance what day the stream will be next week. So stay tuned for all videos from More Things 80s now. Stay tuned for more videos from All Things 80s. Night, everyone.